Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is the top things to know before arriving in Athens. This video is a part of my travel series and I am uploading weekly videos showcasing the different experiences I had while traveling abroad. So I arrived in Athens after 2 flights and a transit in Singapore, so it took about 30 hours to arrive in Athens itself. Now, before I start with my 12 things to know before arriving in Athens, one of the first things we did when we arrived in Athens was actually purchase a SIM card. And the SIM card we purchased in the airport. Usually this is something you shouldn't really do because the airport prices are always higher than the ones outside. However, we had no other way to communicate with our Airbnb host, so we purchased a SIM card inside the airport. The SIM card costed about 25 euros and that gave 25 GB. And the thing was, that was more than enough data for our trip in Athens. Number 1, the metro is your best friend. The train lines in Athens are really convenient. Like all the different locations we wanted to visit, we were able to visit via train. Like we never had any reason to catch a taxi or drive anywhere outside. Like everything was in train distance, and then if it wasn't within the distance of the train, it was also within walking distance. So to get the train card, when we arrived at the airport, we actually went across from the airport. So there's a little bridge that you cross the road and then you walk across into the train station. And then when you get to the train station, you purchase a travel card. So this travel card lasted us about 3 days and it costed us only 25 euros. So the card was for 3 days, but it lasted us 4 days. So that was really convenient while we were there in Athens. Number 2. The apartments in Athens are really cheap. Like we were paying about 65 New Zealand dollars a night for 2 people. And this was a full apartment which was right next to the metro and within walking distance of a lot of food places. So 65 New Zealand dollars, if you calculate that back into euros, about 30 euros. So it was a really reasonable price. And I'm sure there was cheaper options as well. But this location that we had actually was sufficient and was more than enough space. It had the Wi-Fi, it had the Netflix, it had the filtered water, and quite a few things that usually you have to pay a little bit extra to have accessible. Number 3, bakeries, cafes, and all the different kind of sweets that you could imagine. So Athens, actually every 3rd shop seems to be either a cafe or a bakery. And for someone that loves coffee early in the morning, this will be a really good option for you. Number 4, ice cream is everywhere. Like, I don't know if it's because the Greek people are sweet tooths or if it's just because it's a touristy location and it's really hot. And yeah, so very similar to the bakeries, but in the touristy locations, like every 3rd shop seems to be a place where you can buy ice cream. And there's so many different like variances of ice cream, and like, yeah, if you're someone that wants to try out different flavors, then this is definitely something that you will find in Athens. Number 5, the weather. The weather changes really quickly. Like, how do I explain it? You know what? Let me show you. So we're on to the next location, right? So we thought we'd go towards the ports, and obviously with our luck it's raining today. So we'll just see what the next step is. Probably get breakfast and then hopefully the rain has passed then. Yeah, because the weather forecast did say that it will be raining, and we're kind of used to that whole Auckland kind of weather, you know, where it rains, it's sunshine, but we'll see how it goes either way. It's gonna rain, it did, then it got super hot, then it got cold and cloudy, and then it started raining again. So it looks like the weather here is actually like Auckland, so we'll just see how it looks as we go through. Number 6. So this is something to be aware of, not just in Greece, but actually throughout Europe. So you'll find that there's people that hand out roses. So they come up to you because you look like a tourist and you actually stand out. So myself, I didn't actually get approached because I try to blend in, but one of my mates that was with me kept getting approached. So they kept trying to sell him roses, and every time I would just see them from a distance. So I'd always separate from him just to see whether they would come up to me as well. But every time I'd move away, you'd see them walk up to him and try to sell him roses. So the thing with it, try to give him roses. So the thing with this is actually, they give you free roses, and then after they give you the free rose, they make it seem as though it's free. But once you actually grab that rose, they start asking you for money. And if you don't give them money, then they make a big scene and the police get involved, and it becomes a very big thing. And especially if you can't speak the local language, it's really good to stay away from these kind of scams. Personally, we didn't actually have that experience because we just kept walking, or we would just say thank you, and we just would make sure that we didn't grab something, because some of them are really forceful. Like, they try to put it in your hand and make it seem like it's free. So something to note in, I guess, any tourist location throughout Europe. Number 7. So if you're arriving in Athens for the first time like we did, the thing to do is actually check out this website that I'm going to pop here below. And this website actually has free tour guides. So these are local volunteers who just want to showcase their city to foreigners and just kind of give you that best experience while you're there in the city. One thing though, we saw this quite late, so if you're someone that's going to Athens, it's best to book in advance, because when we looked at it, we had already, I think it was already booked for like 3 days before arriving. But check it out anyways, you never know, you might get an opening, and it's from the morning up until night as well. I don't know about the fees for the actual locations you're visiting, because those locations do have fees, but if you have a tour guide who isn't charging you for their service, that's actually really cool. And they are volunteers, and the main reason they're volunteers because they really enjoy showing the city. And I watched a few videos, but unfortunately, as mentioned, we missed out on that opportunity. Also, if you're someone that likes to look into things before going to the actual location, like I do a lot of going with the flow and arriving and just kind of, I guess, exploring and finding out what the city has to offer when I'm there. But if you're someone that likes to plan in advance, one thing we noticed when we arrived in the airport was there was this sign which said hashtag This Is Athens. So if you follow the page on Instagram at This Is Athens, or follow the hashtag This Is Athens, you'll see a lot of information around things you can do, and that might be another way to get information. Number 8, tips are optional. So this is something for me, coming from New Zealand, overseas, it's something that I'm always a bit 50-50 on, because over here we don't have tips. So we don't have tips here, and there is a set minimum wage, which means people actually get a reasonable wage here. Therefore, there is no tips required. However, whenever I go overseas, I don't know whether the country does tips or not. So when I was looking into this, I actually found out that tips aren't required while you're in Athens. However, if you did enjoy the person's customer service and they offers you really good service, it is a courtesy to kind of give them a tip. Not required, but it is something that if you feel like they deserved it and they went above and beyond, that it's good to give it. So we actually didn't know that when we were there, so we were giving about 5 to 10% of the amount of the actual bill, and at the same time sometimes we would just round it off, or we would just say keep the change. So that's kind of a set amount, but once again, it's optional and it's not required while you're in Athens. Number 9, Athens, like any other touristy city, is filled with tourists. Like, wow, there is so many people when you're walking through, like a lot. Like this example here, I was trying to get a photo or video, and yeah, check this out. Kia ora boys, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, katoa. As you can see, I don't speak actually the language of... All good, no worries, yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm going. I mean, it's not like I was taking a shot anyways. So yeah guys, we're here today in Athens. Number 10. Most signs are in Greek. So when you're actually going from location to location, a lot of the signs are in Greek. It's a little bit hard to find your places. However, there is a lot of places which are in English. So if you are a tourist, those places have English signs, and there are on the train stations icons as well. So like when we were going to Acropolis, there was the picture of the Parthenon, so you knew you were going there. And the actual train station, like the lights up as you go along each station. So although the signs are in Greek, there are ones in English too. And if in doubt, like we were a few times, just ask a local. And honestly, people are so friendly that they want to speak with you, especially when you speak English. They just want to communicate. And yeah, so that's something that, yeah, we found out. Number 11, there is a variety of options for food. Like, we were in Athens, but it was so multicultural. Like, we were able to get Iraqi food, we were able to get Pakistani food, we were able to get vegetarian food. So there was so many different options, and yeah, so that's just something to keep in mind. Number 12. So this one here is for any Kiwis watching. So the euro in comparison to the New Zealand dollar is almost like 1 New Zealand dollar to like 50 something cents or 60 cents. So you'll find that the food there is going to be a little bit more expensive. So most things that you find in Athens are actually the same price as New Zealand. So think about going outside every single day and eating out every single day and how that adds up. So breakfast, lunch and dinner. So that's the exact same thing you would be doing in Athens. But at the same time as well, this is a touristy city, so you'll find that a lot of the prices will also be hiked up as well. But within walking distance, you usually find cheaper options which are of the same quality. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're from New Zealand, or if you're going there with a currency that's actually weaker than the currency of the euro. I hope that this video does justice and shows you a few tips and thoughts around before arriving in Athens. And in all honesty, I had a lot of footage and I lost my SD card. So that's another tip as well, I guess. Make sure to back up all your footage when arriving back home. Well, actually, I had backed up my footage. So I backed up my DSLR, I backed up my smaller camera, I backed up my phone, but I totally forgot to back up my first SD card, and then now I've misplaced it, and I've lost all of my Greece footage. So you'll find that there's a lot of B-roll missing, and a lot of these things that I had actually recorded there, which I'm missing, but I'm hoping that this video does justice, and that it actually conveys the message across. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and if you think I can improve my videos in any way, make sure to give your feedback in the comments below, because it's your feedback and your support that actually helps this channel grow and to keep going. Next week's video will be the top 5 places to visit in Athens. And if you want to check out that video, make sure to hit that sub button right here. Check out last week's video up on the side here, and check out my adventure series video up on this side. So once again guys, if you enjoyed the video, hopefully I'll see you guys next week. Until next time guys, you have a good one.
I just wish I learned sooner. Let me introduce you to Layla, aka the Dunya.
Good one. Whoa, my hair is long. Woo. If you're still watching, yeah, I'm trying to grow my hair out. Or this whole lockdown before I go back to the office. Catch you guys up.